Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel, and this is my review for The Rescuers Down Under, which came out in 1990, and not only is it a sequel to The Rescuers from 1977, but it's also the very first sequel that Disney would make to one of their animated movies. It's kind of a weird choice to make a sequel to The Rescuers, but whatever. So this movie takes place in Australia. It opens up with a boy who rescues this giant golden eagle from being captured by this hunter. The eagle escapes, but the boy named Cody is suddenly captured himself, and one of the mice living in Australia takes note of this and sends a signal all the way from Australia to New York City, where the Rescue Aid Society is located. So they assign this task to the two agents from the last movie, Bernard and Miss Bianca, voiced by Bob Newhart and Ava Gabor respectively. In fact, this was actually Ava Gabor's final film before passing on. So it's up to the two of them to head down to Australia and try to rescue this kid Cody from the evil poacher and try to prevent the poacher himself from finding that giant eagle. So this is often regarded as one of the most underrated Disney animated movies out there. And ever since I first reviewed The Rescuers, you guys have been hyping this movie up constantly, telling me how much it's an improvement over the original, how great it is overall, and that I'm gonna love it. So I was really looking forward to watching this movie, mainly because I've heard that reputation long before I started this series of reviews. And I gotta say, I was a little disappointed when I finished the movie. Not that it's a bad movie or anything, because it's not, but I feel like it may have been a little too overhyped. But what is actually good about this movie? Well, the big thing that's a major improvement over the first Rescuers is the animation. The animation, obviously in between 1977 and 1990, the technology has evolved so much that the animation is just as beautiful as ever. And especially when it comes to the flying sequences, they are absolutely gorgeous and rank up there with the flying sequences in the How to Train Your Dragon movies. The main characters from the last movie, Bernard and Miss Bianca, still work well together. They still have amazing chemistry, and at this point they've established themselves as more of a couple and not just simply co-workers. And it's just nice to see these two together again. Although, one of my bigger disappointments is that I didn't think they were in the movie enough, and I felt like more of the focus was on the kid Cody that they have to rescue. Cody is a massive step up from Penny in the first movie though, because I think Cody's just more adventurous. He's more charismatic. The voice actor does a better job than the voice actress who voiced Penny in the first movie, but I just wish more of the focus was on the actual two main characters, the actual rescuers, and not the rescuee. But maybe that's a nitpick in the eyes of some other people. Some of the newer characters are fun as well. You have the Australian mouse that helps Bernard and Miss Bianca on their journey, Jack, who also has the hots for Miss Bianca and tries to squeeze himself in between the two of them, to the point where you look at Bernard and go, what do you have to worry about? You've known Miss Bianca longer than this guy has. And what's even more frustrating is that throughout the entire movie, Bernard's purpose is to try to propose to Miss Bianca so they could get married. And every time he tries to do that, something happens, whether it's an obstacle during the mission, Jack pushes himself into the middle of these two. And I love how at the very end of the movie, when it's all done, Bernard's like, okay, I'm just gonna get this out of the way before anything else happens. Miss Bianca, will you marry me? But you've got to give it to Jack, who, instead of being jealous, looks at Bernard and goes, good job, mate. But Jack himself is a fun character. Again, kind of wish there was more with the actual rescuers, these three characters, than the actual kid. And then you also have John Candy voicing the albatross Wilbur, the brother of Orville from the first movie. Get it? Wilbur and Orville, like the Wright brothers? Anyway, John Candy is a lot of fun, and he definitely gives Wilbur more of a personality than Orville did in the entirety of the first film. I'm not going to say that he's a productive character because he's mostly there for comic relief, but he just has more to do compared to Orville. And John Candy's jokes and just the comedic timing from him is a lot of fun. George C. Scott voices the main villain of the movie, McLeach, and he's really terrifying. He is very intimidating towards Cody, he's ruthless, he's abusive towards his pet lizard, Joanna, and Joanna herself has a ton of personality. For being a creature that doesn't talk in a world full of talking animals, the animators got a lot of personality out of this character, and she ends up being fun, again, despite not being talkative throughout the entire movie. McLeach himself is not one of the most memorable Disney villains, but within the context of this movie, he works, and he manages to be more threatening and more competent than Madame Medusa from the first movie. And also, he's not accompanied by a bumbling henchman the way Madame Medusa was. So those are the good things about the movie. What didn't I like? Well, the story itself is kind of the same as the first Rescuers. I think the main reason people elevate this movie above the first one is because of the animation quality, and that it's just far superior than the first Rescuers. But the actual plot itself and some of the circumstances feel very similar to that first movie. It's not really a groundbreaking story at all. It's not revolutionary by any means, but it gets the job done, and it still leads to a very enjoyable movie. Again, I wish there was more focus on the actual rescuers themselves than Cody. And speaking of Cody, there's a really pointless scene where he is captured with all these other animals that McLeach has captured. And the animals try to devise a plan to escape. And this sequence goes on for a long time. And you hope that it builds up to a really cool breakout scene where all these animals are free. But no, McLeach goes back to Cody, tricks him into thinking that the giant golden eagle is dead, so he can follow Cody and see where exactly the eagle is nesting, and those animals never come back. Like, are they eventually rescued? Are they just stuck there? Are they killed by McLeach later on? Well, wait, actually, no, that can't happen because McLeach dies in the movie. But I just felt like that scene lent itself to nothing. You just sit there and go, why did we waste our time with this scene? And then lastly, I think the movie takes a long time to actually set up the main story. The first 18 minutes of the movie is set up to where we're introduced to Cody, the giant eagle, and the villain, which is fine because you got to establish why the rescuers are heading to Australia. But we don't actually get to meet our main characters until those 18 minutes are up. And even then, once we meet our main characters, there's less than an hour of the movie left because this is a pretty short movie. The movie clocks in at an hour and 17 minutes, and that just feels really short for a movie that's supposed to be this grand in scale, especially when you consider that the movies of the Disney Renaissance are about the usual length of a feature film, an hour and a half. This just feels a little too short, and I feel like the movie takes so much time to set up before we actually get introduced to our main characters. So despite those problems, this is still a really good movie. I just don't think it's great, and that's going to be my rating. It's slightly better than the first movie, just based on the animation quality, some of the characters, and just the overall adventure feel to it. But I feel like the first movie does a better job with its main characters, and you get to see more charm and personality from Bernard and Miss Bianca in that first movie than you do with this one. So I don't think it's as great as so many people claim it to be. But considering that this is a movie that kind of got buried when it came out and underperformed, it's one that I think a lot of people should check out, especially if you're kind of iffy on that first Rescuers movie. And there you go, that's my review for The Rescuers Down Under. Now next week we're going to be getting into the next heavy hitter of the Disney Renaissance, a movie that's as old as I, and if you don't consider this a classic, you're a goddamn lie. Beauty and the Beast. I had to think about something that rhymed within the spirit of the Oscar-winning song, but we'll talk more about that song and the movie next week. But first I want to know what you guys think about The Rescuers Down Under. If you've seen it, what did you think? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there is only one. Hello everyone, I just wanted to say thank you all for watching my review for The Rescuers Down Under. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, go check out my Twitch channel, and support me on Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.